So let me show you here. So you were looking for Chopin pieces. Hello, speak Spanish? Unfortunately, I do not. Chopin Waltz in A is pretty easy. That's true. That one is a good one. Let me show you here, though. So if you look up, I think easiest Chopin, you'll find both a video from Piano TV. I don't know why it clicked automatically, but I do have a touchscreen. Oh, it clicked on mine. I should have kept with it. But anyway, mine's the second one down here. It actually doesn't have my face on it. It has Chopin's face. And yeah, you click on that and you can learn about the top, forget, 3 or 5. I think I might have given you 5 pieces I recommend by Chopin that you start with. And actually, the one by Piano TV, Alyssa, I think is her name. That one is a good one as well. She does the easiest and the most difficult, and I just do the easiest. I'm not really sure whether there's probably overlap, but I'm not sure if we talk about different pieces or not. But check that one out. Let me get you a link to that. All right, and everybody just tuning in, thanks for coming out. Feel free to say hello, like Fuddy Duddy I see is here. And I'll answer Stuart's question here in just a second. Let me just get a link here for everybody. Okay, there you go. All right, let's take a look. Stuart's question. I am trying to play pieces in the key of C minor, for example, Banks of Loch Lomond, or Fly Me to the Moon. However, I find myself playing the notes in the E flat scale, and it resolves in E flat. Okay, question. I'm trying to, let me see if I get this question right. Question. I'm trying to play pieces in the key of C minor, okay, which is the relative minor for E flat major. For example, Banks of Loch Lomond, or Fly Me by the Moon. However, I find myself playing all the notes in the E flat scale as it resolves in E flat. Well, I'm not sure. However, I find myself playing the notes in the E flat scale. Well, you would be playing the notes in the E flat scale. I mean, they would just be, and they resolve in E flat. Well, if you'd have to send me if you can give me a link, I can find that and look exactly for it, because I'm not really sure. Let me see. Not really sure, what the issue is. Because if you're playing in C minor, so long as it's C natural minor, it should be the same as E flat major, just centered around C. And then if it resolves in E flat, it could just be that it's in C minor, and that it resolves in the relative major. So it's possible that there was some sort of modulation that happened. So, feel free to elaborate a little bit more if I was off on that. Okay, Christopher asks, Sir, is it possible to learn saxophone if I know how to read piano notes? Is it advantage? Yeah. So if I believe saxophone, it depends on which one you have, but I believe they're treble clef. So yeah, learning how to play treble clef, on the piano will help you. It will also help you if you need to play any bass clef instruments. So yeah, there is definitely an overlap in knowledge there. It will definitely give you an advantage. Okay, Aldana says, I'm not sure if it's your first time out, but if it is, welcome. Well, welcome even if it is you are a returning student here. You play some other instrument beside the piano. Great question. I do. Well, not on a regular basis, but I do know how to play bass guitar. Now I'd have to relook at everything again. And I do know how to play trombone as well. Okay, we have Kokoi here again. Hey, Tim, glad to be here. Glad to have you out once again. Glad to have you back with us. Rich says, Tim, I'd love to learn piano the right way. Do you recommend going to school or just getting private teachers. That reminded me. Somebody asked me about piano high schools up there. I don't know. I'm not really sure about that, unfortunately. Okay, Rich. The right way. Would you recommend going to school or just getting a private teacher? Um, it depends. That's a good question. Let me bring that up. Okay, we have an excellent question here from Rich. Rich asks, Tim, I'd love to learn to play the piano the right way. Do you recommend... Darn it. Sorry. That wasn't your fault. Let me see. Okay, now it shouldn't move. That was my fault. Sorry about that. Okay, we have a great question from our student Rich. Rich asks, Tim, I love to learn piano, play the piano the right way. Do you recommend going to school or just getting a private teacher? Great question. Well, depends on what you want out of it. I mean, if you want to learn how to play the piano the right way, you don't really need to go to school for it. I mean, that's like if you wanted to, even if you wanted to teach, you don't necessarily have to go to music school. I mean, you could just study under a teacher for a long time and then try it out that way. Of course, there are advantages to going to a music school. You probably get a more thorough experience with, all the different things to learn. But if you're just looking to get better at piano, then I would just get a private teacher. If you get the right private teacher, you should be able to, as you put it, learn piano the right way with like the right technique and everything, because the teacher will be able to sit beside you and tell you, you're doing this wrong. Also, having lessons once a week with a teacher has a benefit in that you have to prepare things for the teacher, right? And some people are a little squirrely. They want to prepare as much as they can so when they play for the teacher, it goes smoothly. And it also just kind of helps you like get into a routine. So there are definitely some advantages to getting a private teacher. If you want to go to school, that's really, like I said, more for a professional route. Like if you wanted to teach professionally, or you wanted to even write music professionally, whichever sort of music avenue that you wanted to go down. So that's my advice on that one. Okay, let's take a look here. Asparagus water, there's no groups like the triplet, therefore are there no groups like quintuplets, etc.? Great question, actually. Let me see. I like this question. Okay, let me get staff pad up and running here. And then, okay, just give me a second. Now, I'm not going to get too into how to count these, because that's a lesson all on itself for sure. But what did you say? Quintuplet? Yeah, quintuplets. Okay, let me see if staff pad will let me draw one of these. But the answer is yes, but I want to explain a little bit. Okay, well, that actually worked. Can't believe it. At least it grouped 5/8 notes together. I don't know. Maybe I should do this. Really? Really? You gotta be kidding me. Seriously? Okay, well that works. So a 3 works. We have to do this. No. Well, shoot. All right, let me try this one last thing. Yeah, doesn't like that 5, but the answer is yes. Oh man, really? Does not like it. It'll let me do 3 though. Why? Why not? Wait, will it do this? Hold on. 4? I figured it out. 5. We did it. All right. Okay, hold on. 1. How many beats does this take up? 1, 2, 3. See, I don't understand. It must be this. No? Now it's being really weird because I don't understand how many that's supposed to take up. Because there's beat 1. There's half a 1. See, this isn't working like I expected to. Because what I thought was supposed to happen is that it was supposed to take up the amount of a quarter note. Let me look this up for everybody real quick so I'm right on this. But something is not adding up so far. So let me look up tuplets in music. Hey, Robert. Hey, Danu. Hello, Cheryl. Welcome out, everybody. So glad you could come out with us today. Tuplets. Okay, tuplets. This is the right page. Okay. A monotone tuplet. Okay, mistaken. Oh, man. Maybe there's more to this than I thought. Okay, hold on. 1 and 2 and... So wait, this one is supposed to take up 3 beats? Yeah, I guess so. Hold on a second. let me think this out real quick. Based on what they kind of have over there. So this would be here. Okay, it'd be nice if it let me right on the screen. What is happening now? Can't win tonight, everybody. It just keeps messing up. It just will not cooperate. I might have to exit out of that. I don't know what happened there. All right. So everybody, while I'm answering this quintuplet question, I guess the short answer is yes. I might have to actually just kind of make a lesson on this all on its own because this is not working out so well. Okay. Let's take a look. Will it let me write now, hopefully? Oh, good. Okay. I don't know. I'm going to have to look at this, to be honest with you. But the short answer is yes. It's called a quintuplet. And any of the ones are tuplets. So you can put 7 in the place of one note. You can put, 9. And it works kind of like a triplet. You're just fitting more notes into there. But I have to look up more about it because apparently there's like true, I don't know. It was listing a true tuplets and all sorts of things. So I'll have to make a lesson on that to really explain it in detail. But the answer is yes. Okay. All right, let's see what I got here. Well, Asparagus Water says, well, I'll be damned. Fireflower says, I'm learning to play Prelude in C. I'm kind of having problems memorizing it. The pattern is the same throughout. And the other things that change is dynamics and notes. Are there any tips that you can give me? Yes. Let me get this piece out, actually. I think I have it here. I hope. Let's see. No. Think again. All right, I can get it really quick. I do want to bring this up to explain it to everybody. So, Prelude, C major by, we're talking about Bach, right? Okay, close enough, or pretty good. All right, here we go. Oh, I was in 3/4 time signature. I kept trying to add it up to 4. Probably that's why. That's why it was really confusing me as to how many beats I was taking up. Okay, let me take a look at this real quick, and let me get this in as an official question here. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, got it now. Okay, we got a great question from our. Hold on a second. All right, we got a great question from our student Fireflower. Let's take a look. Fireflower asks, I'm learning to play Prelude in C. I'm kind of having problems memorizing it. The pattern is the same throughout, and the only thing that changes is the dynamics and notes. Is there any tips that you can give me on this? Of course. So let's take a look right here. Actually, I'm going to get the piano in here a little bit, even though I don't think I need to. So the problem is that with this piece, and actually you'll run into this when you're memorizing almost any piece, is that there's a lot of repetitive patterns in the music. So what happens is when you get further and further along in the piece, you might start to go into a loop where you keep doing the same pattern over and over again, or you might just start getting into different parts of the piece because some of the parts are so similar to one another. So what I recommend you do actually is go through and first of all, memorize this piece not only in your fingers, but you also want to be aware of the chords that are happening each measure, especially in areas that are giving you a lot of trouble. So obviously for this first measure, it's C major, and then you have D minor 7th. And if you're not good at chords, this is one thing why we do study our chords. We can get better. So you have C major, you have D minor 7, and then it looks like G7, back to C, A minor. So if you memorize not only it with your hands, but also in your mind what chords are taking place where, it'll take a little bit more time, but it will give you a lot more information on where you're at in the piece and where it's going. Because what'll happen is you'll get to that chord again, but you'll see that the chords before it are a little different and that the chords after it are a little bit different. So if you have those memorized, you'll know that before it was like a C major, but this time it's going to maybe like a D. I think one time it goes to a D major here instead. So, things do change up. So memorize the chords as well as the notes. And then another tip I have for you is to mark down any of the parts that continue to give you trouble or that are super similar to one another. And what you want to do is you want to start before, like a little bit before that section happens, get to that section, and like the measure before, that measure, and the measure after, and then go to the section that's very similar, that's giving you trouble, and do the measure before it, that measure, and the measure after, and keep going between those two, doing those three: measure before, measure after, and then go into the other one: measure before, measure after, and then practice them like that. And that way, you'll be practicing where it's similar, but where it changes as well. So you can also internalize those changes rather than just starting from the beginning all the time. Whereas you will, not get as much practice on those sections that you need. So those are some tips that I have for that question. Okay, Adria asked, kind of going along with Rich's question, what are your thoughts about teaching yourself? Is that way you learning recommend? Yes and no. If you want to kind of find out if you like learning piano, then go for it on your own. If you're short on cash, go for it on your own. If you prefer to learn by yourself, go about it on your own. You can actually learn a lot on your own, and you can make pretty good progress on your own. However, there are some elements that I find that can really only be given by a teacher, and they're the same elements I was talking with Rich about being really on a regular schedule with somebody, and obviously having somebody next to you that can give you feedback. So that's my thoughts on teaching yourself. There's definitely a place for it, especially in the beginning when you want to get started. You just want to see if you can learn a few songs, see if it's for you. Then yes, that's absolutely, you can learn online. Even if you know what another great use of learning online is that if you have a private lesson teacher and you want some extra practice, or you might want to just kind of go on your own and learn some things on your own, then it's great for that too. So it's both, it's a pretty good supplementary tool if you already have lessons, but it's also good as a beginner starter method to getting you started playing the piano. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, got a pretty good question here. And now I'll have to shorten. Hold on. Okay, our student Brandon has an excellent question about learning piano, and that is, what is the fastest way to learn a piece? What a terrific question. Now, I'd probably have to make a full lesson on this, but just some quick tips off the top of my head. The fastest way to learn a piece is to be very methodical about it. So, obviously, when you're first learning a piece, you're going to start learning from the beginning. Makes sense. That's what I recommend. Then do that for maybe a few days, but maybe a few weeks. But what you want to avoid doing is starting from the beginning all the time and for months at a time. Because what will happen is that your beginning will be very, very good, your middle will be weak, and then your ending will be very weak. So you're always going to be wanting to start your practice sessions from those new areas that you're working on. You don't want to be starting from the beginning all the time. It's unfortunate that even with myself, natural logic tells you to start from the beginning of the piece. But when you're practicing, you really have to tell yourself, no, bad. Start from, the new section or the section you're having trouble with. Some of the other tips I have for you is, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, memorize be able to analyze the chords that are happening in the piece because this will really help you get a better grasp on what's happening, where your hand really should be moving, rather than just getting it into muscle memory. Muscle memory is okay, but it fails a lot, and if you don't have the theory knowledge behind it in case it fails, then you're really going to be in trouble. You'll also be able to memorize it, the piece, a lot easier. So just to recap, you want to be very methodical about it. You want to start at the beginning, the first few times you play, but then when you start your practice sessions after that, start from the new material. And then also don't be afraid to focus in on areas that you need to focus in on. Don't be afraid to just really go in on one measure, and then maybe even break it up hands separate. Play it, right hand a few times, left hand a few times, then together real slow, and then maybe practice the measure before it, then that measure, and then the measure after, and then try the line, and then try it, in the context of the whole piece. So don't be afraid to really focus in on what's giving you trouble, so then you can clean it up right away. If you spend your time on things you're already good at, then you're wasting your time to a very high degree. I mean, obviously you'll be going over things you're good at, so you're polished up on them. But, to really get good at something, you constantly have to be looking at, what you're doing wrong, which is a pretty good reason, like I mentioned earlier, maybe to get a teacher or something like that if you're able to get one. Okay, let's see. Okay, so those were my recommendations for the fastest way to learn a piece. Think about what you're doing, of course, and be methodical about it. Okay, Julio asks, is there a noticeable difference between the skills of a formally trained musician and a self-taught musician? That has The answer overall is probably no, only because that depends on so many factors. I mean, it depends on the natural ability of the student, depends on how much the student practices, depends on the quality of their teacher that's formally training them. It depends on their own ability to teach themselves. I know students who are self-trained that are better than students I've taught. I have students I've taught that are way better than students that have, trained themselves. So it really depends on the student. I've had students that have taught themselves that where they've gotten pretty impressive results. Here's the thing: is that getting somebody to hear you play and give you feedback will never hurt you. It's always a good thing. There are some drawbacks to that. Only it depends on who you are. First of all, private lessons cost a lot of money, or at least for most people they do, especially if you're taking them every week. And especially if sometimes, you don't get time to practice and you feel like maybe you didn't get your money's worth that week. I totally understand that. But they are kind of expensive. And then some people also don't like the pressure of getting things ready every week. Not everybody's built for school and, having somebody under the gun or going to work every day. So some people do prefer to learn on their own, in which case, self-learning or learning online is probably the way to go. I always say that learning in your own way, achieving your goals in your own way, is certainly better than nothing. So if your options are limited, grab a hold of what you can grab a hold of. If you first of all, if you can get access to a private teacher easily, do it. I'm not going to stop you. You can always take lessons from them and watch my videos at the same time. In fact, I think that would probably be pretty beneficial no matter what your situation you're in, whether you're self-teaching or having somebody teaching you. So the answer overall, back to the question, is no. I can't tell the difference because ultimately it's up to the student, the skills of the student, and the skills of their teacher as well. Okay, great question here from Asparagus Water. Any tips on improvisation? I really want to compose music. Yeah, let me get this up. Okay, another awesome question from our student here who asks, any tips on improvisation? I really want to learn to compose music. So, yeah, I'm not going to make a full lesson on this right now, but yeah, I absolutely want to talk about this and give you a couple of tips if you're just starting out or you kind of want to build on what you've already been doing. Excuse me. Let me get that up there maybe. The first thing I want you to do to get good at improvisation or start is learn all about chord progressions and practice playing chord progressions because those are seriously one of the obviously like the backbone of the sound of what you're trying to go for. They're the harmony, but also the better you are at chord progressions, the more you'll be able to focus on the melodies that you're making on top of those progressions to get those to sound good. So the more automatic my left hand is, if that happens to be where the harmony is, the melody I can concentrate on, getting that to sound better. If I'm really trying to like go from like, okay, here's C, and then like, oh, the four chord, it's like here, and I'm trying to make a melody at the same time, it fails. It just doesn't work. So if I know exactly where I'm going, just like that. I know exactly where my hands were moving in that case. Even I, though, could spend more time practicing progressions outside of the 1 4 5 1. I can do that without thinking. But there are always new progressions you can try out. You can do something real crazy like 1, flat 6, 4, and then 5. Something like that, and then just practice those progressions. And you also want to be practicing these in different keys. So I would honestly just start with the 1 4 5 1 in each key. Just like that. Whoops. Oh, see? Now I had to practice this one. There you go. Alright, so with the flat keys, as you can see, even I need to practice those. So start with the 1 4 5 1. Those are the most common chord progressions, and then you want to branch out from there. Look up maybe popular chord progressions online and see if you can play those in different keys. And then after a while, what you want to do is, like I talked about, is you just want to play the chord in the left hand, and then see if you can come up with a melody. Just like that. See, not so bad. And I would just play around with that again and again. If I found something that I really liked, grabbed a hold of, I would probably record it, either on the computer or I'd write down the notes on a piece of paper or something like that. So I would remember, always write down good ideas, please, because I always get into the trap of like, oh, well, I'll definitely remember it. I'm not going to write it down. Why do I need to write it down? And I always forget. Seriously, like the next day, I'm like, no, I forget. I forget what that melody was. So write down your successes and the things that you like. Okay, so that was my advice on how to improvise or where to start, really, if you've been wondering on how to do that. It'll also help you if you want to learn how to write music, as you had mentioned, as well, because you'll just know how those chords work together, how they flow together, and then you also know what chord progressions sound good with what you're going for, because obviously you want a chord progression that fits the mood of the piece that you're trying to write or the piece that you're trying to improvise. Funny Day says, got me a cheap $69 guitar keyboard at Walmart that has speakers and uses 4 AA batteries. All right, cool. But I can practice with it in my van at night. Okay, great. But like Eddie Van Halen plays a tiny guitar on a bus. That's great, Fuddy Duddy. Welcome out to the live stream, by the way. Let's see. Oh, dude, I love how you mentioned Halen. Saw them live in Bangor a year ago. Awesome. Don says hello. Hello, Don. Sorry if I've missed anybody's questions here. Okay, I'm just taking a look at some questions. Makes sense to me. Chords will help. Okay, Lachingadora says, how should I use the pedal if I'm a novice? All the time, not at all. Try to read the music. Okay, let me get this up here. So I'll answer this a little bit on the looser side, not as like an official question. Lachingadora asks, how should I use the pedal if I'm a novice? All the time, not at all. Try to read the music if they have anything written for the pedal. So when you are first using the pedal, I would say most students way overuse the pedal when they do it. They either have it, all the way up, or they just have it smashed down for long periods of time. One of the things you want to get used to with the pedal is use your own ears. If you feel or if you hear that the notes are really blending together, obviously a over-exaggeration, but you hear the blending of notes together, you want to pop up that pedal real quick, and then you can put it back down, and that will keep the notes blending, but still have a blended feeling overall. So here's the difference. So here's a chord progression. Oops. And I have the pedal down the whole time. Ew, sounds pretty nasty, right? Now what I'm going to do is every time I change chords, and this is the general rule of thumbs, whenever you're changing chords, you want to pop up the pedal real quick and then back down, and that'll cut out the bleeding sound. So as soon as I hit a new chord, I'm popping up on the pedal. Unfortunately, I don't have the pedal that I can show you. But pop, 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 pop. As you can see, it still had a blended sound, but it kept it from being too much. So that's if it's not written in. Usually when it's written in, it'll give you like that little spike to tell you to pop up the pedal. But I would say use the pedal sparingly if you're new at it. Actually, in general, use it sparingly, because what a lot of students tend to do is they use the pedal on parts they're not very good at. I don't know. It's just like a normal thing people do. So I guess so you can't really hear the difference between the notes and know that like the rhythm might not be quite right. So that's something very common. So you do want to avoid that. Okay, asparagus is very good for you, as well as cucumber. Very good, says Don. Chord voicing, says Roberta. Yeah, okay, I can talk about that a little bit. I want to make a lesson just on that sometime. But yes, I can talk about chord voicing. Okay, just give me a second. I want to get it's more like a statement than a question, but, I want to get it up here. Where is it? Where's the question? There we go. Okay, our live stream attendee here just says chord voicing. So I'm guessing you want me to talk a little bit about how chords are voiced and some of the basic rules behind this. I'll make a real full lesson on this at some point, but let me show you now. So when you're moving between chords, keep just a few rules in mind. The main one rule is that when you're moving between chords, you want to be moving between them in the smallest amount of movement possible. So what you don't want is to be playing your chord progression where the chords are real far apart. Even if you play them all in root position, it just sounds very choppy. They don't blend together right, and the chords have no voicing. Like, it's just random almost. You're just jumping up each time, completely disconnected. So what you want to do is rule number one. When you have two chords, you're moving between two chords, you want to first look for any common tones. So if I'm moving between a C major chord, C, E, G, and an F major chord, F, A, C, you'll look for any common tones, any notes they have in common. So obviously they have C in common. So what you want to do is you keep common tones where they are. You don't move them, right? And that makes sense since we're moving every note in the smallest amount possible. And what smallest amount then? Not at all. So you keep the C where it is. Then you move the rest of the notes by the smallest amount, usually by step or half step, tone or semitone as some know it, to the very next note. So you have C major here, you got F major, and then say I'm moving to G major. Well, there's no common tones in between those, so all you do is you move all three notes, up to the next note that they need to be at, by the smallest movement possible. So, like, say I'm going from this F chord where I have C, F, A because it's in an inversion. Well, if I'm going to a chord with G, B, D, it makes sense to move the F to a G, the A to a B, and the C to a D. That's just the smallest options that you have. So just a really quick explanation that you want to look for common chords between the chords. You want to keep those where they're at, and then you want to move the other chords by the smallest amount possible. So to get used to this, start practicing your chord progressions in this fashion using these couple of rules, and that'll just kind of get you used to that very basic rule of chord voicing. Oh, Fight Day's got to run, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Is it good to know multiple instruments at a time or a disadvantage? I would say go for it. Yeah, you can learn too many instruments. Like, you can just be overwhelmed. You learn 5 instruments and you can barely practice for 1 or 2 of them. Then, yeah, no reason to learn more. There's nothing that will hurt you about learning 2 instruments, for sure. Or even if you want to learn 3. But keep in mind that if you want to take it seriously, you're going to have to choose a primary one. And then one's going to have to be like kind of the secondary. Or you're going to have 2 that might be kind of equal. But once you start to get 3 or more, you'll really just have to choose one that you like and work on that one a bit more. Okay, Abigail says, "Night, Tim. Sorry I missed being here due to ministry." Okay, that's okay. That's a pretty good place to be during the time I'd hoped to be here. That's okay. Thanks so much for who you are and for being there for us. Always so kind and helpful to us. Well, thank you, Abigail. I appreciate that a lot. Looking forward to Friday, Lord willing. Yes, I hope you will be here as well, and hopefully the Lord will help that happen. Julio says, "Can you show us on the staff what the lowest and highest note on an 8 key keyboard looks like? I'm just curious." Yeah. Let me do that. Now, keep in mind, one thing I want to mention about this is most of the time you're not going to see a note like this because they're going to use the sign 8VA for 1 octave higher or 15MA for 2 octaves higher. But what you want is if it was written out in... Oh, you know what? I really don't know. I really don't know where it's going to be. Hold on. I have to think about this. Okay, F is there. F. Okay, hold on. Okay, F, A, C, E, G. Okay, that takes me there. And then you got B. Oh, come on. You got D. And you can see it goes pretty high up. Oops. F. A. And then this should be it. So this is the highest note on the piano. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ledger lines up. And I'd imagine the lowest one is probably 9 ledger lines down. So if G was here, Then with one ledger line, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, maybe only 6 down. Let's see. So there's G, that's E, C, A, F, D. Yep, D. I totally messed that up. D, B, and A. I think the lowest one is about there. I might have messed it up by one note or so. So that's the lowest one on the piano. So for reference, highest one, lowest one. All right. Okay, sir, are you still using sheet music when you play piano or just memorizing it every piece? I still use sheet music a lot of times. I usually memorize after I learn the piece. How long until you got really good at sight reading? Great question. The answer is a few months. Like I tell everybody, if you take 2 months, 2 to 3 months, and you practice sight reading every day, you will notice a difference in your ability to sight read. You might not be a master, but you'll notice a considerable difference. You'll be like, well, I'm definitely, higher up than I was before. And the key is everyday practice, seriously, every single day. And practice start out easy, just everything in the key of C, maybe even do it hands separate, but then do it hands together and then start doing it in different keys and different rhythm styles. So do examples in the key of F, do them in the key of D, do them in the key of pretty much anything you can think of. So yeah. So do that every day for 2 or 3 months, and you will notice a difference. To get really good at sight reading, I'd say in a year, if you practice it every day, you'd probably be pretty proficient at sight reading to where it's really paying off and you're really able to learn things, new pieces very, very easily. Okay, how long? Okay, Roberta, having passion to learn chord progressions and music theory every day is really helpful. I think your advice to expand on what we don't know is really good. Well, thank you very much, Roberta. I appreciate that. Oh, you find Julian Bradley to be inspirational. All right. Odette says that's when inversions come into play. I learned that you put the root on the left and leave it out on the right hand. Oh, you're talking about so jazz voicing is a little bit different. I'd have to actually do a lesson on that and write it up ahead of time to make sure I explained it right. Jazz voicing is a little different because it is split up between both hands, and the reason jazz voicing split up between the both hands is because with these extended chords, the ninths and things like that, when you play them all together, it just clashes a little bit. And some of the chords are way worse than others. So, actually, the chord sounds pretty cool. But jazz chords always sound better if you break them up between both hands. Trying to remember if I don't need that B there, but I do need an E. There you go. So you tend to break them up between the two hands rather than playing them all together. I mean, that sounds okay, but they just do that so it doesn't sound so crunchy. Okay, let's see here. Okay, what does AVA tell you to do? It tells you to play one octave higher. So if you have middle C and it says AVA on it, you're going to play that C. If it's that C and it says AVA, you're going to play that C. Wow, I'm actually getting through the questions here. Wow. I'm impressed. Because I thought I was like, oh man, we're never going to get through these, which is fine. because I like that. It's 8:51 already. I was like, oh man, we got through the questions, and it's probably only like 8:30 or 8:20, and oh man, 8:51 already. Wow, time flew today, which is always a good thing. That means we had a very productive lesson today. I'm not leaving quite yet, but a grace note tells you to play the grace note really quickly before the main note. Hope that helps a little. Yeah, what is a grace note? How can you show how it should be played? Yeah, so a grace note. Yeah, it's a little note that appears before another note, and you fit it in right on the beat. So let me see if I can fit one in here for us. Okay, I got it. I remember now. I have to actually draw it, I think. There we go. Oh, I got to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so this is a grace note. It's a note they like kind of fit in right before another note, and normally this note would be played on beat 1, right? But instead, you're going to count 1. See how? 1. It's almost like I accidentally hit the wrong note at first and I corrected it real quick. 1. But as soon as you hit 1, that's where the big note hits. 1. 1. You don't want to go 1 and then hit it. 1. You want to go 1 where it hits right on the beat like that. Okay, let's see. Roberta says, I love dissonance in jazz. So free, it's like flying, and I'm learning to play bass and found the need to also play piano to explore. Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, jazz is always really fun to play. I always love improving on the B-flat blues. It's only 5:53 here in Cali, and it's dark outside. I know, it's dark outside here almost. Actually, not almost. It's been dark. Do you do YouTube as a full-time job? No, not YouTube as a full-time job. But everything I do with teaching piano is a full-time job. So I do teach about 30 students that I drive to every week. And then I do YouTube. I have courses over on my website. So that's like another half of my business. So it's like half students that I meet in person and then half the YouTube, and then altogether, I'm starting to make it work. It's doing pretty good. Not a millionaire by any stretch, but you don't really have to be. Just got to be happy. And I'm pretty happy with it. I'm so happy to come here, live with everybody. Like I said, it's so cool to do the live stream thing. Putting out videos is fine, but I always like the community interaction and really getting to understand what students in the community really want out of the channel. I'm getting a better idea from doing the live stream, but it's also like really neat to converse with everybody, here directly about, playing the piano. YouTube does help me pay the bills. That is true. It doesn't pay my bills, but it helps me. You have to be killing it on YouTube pretty good to make a living. At least out of the AdSense, that's for sure. Okay, I'm using your video, says Dylan James Wright, and am a self-taught. Is a piano teacher worth it? What would the best questions be to ask the piano teacher to get the best bang for my buck? Great question. So if you've been learning for yourself for a while and you can get a teacher, you can afford one, you can find one, I would say go for it. Try it out. The questions you want to ask your teacher really just maybe like what their teaching style is, what they like to focus on. So if you don't like classical music, the thing is you're probably just going to have to put up with it to some degree because a lot of teachers want you to learn classical music because it is very good at developing your hand and coordination and things like that. Um, let's take a look. But I would say it's worth it, and you would just want to ask them like what kind of style they like to teach. So you want to see, like, if you want to learn some pop songs, you really need a teacher that's willing to teach you, some of those songs. They might make you learn classical some of this time, and you'll just have to put up with that because it is good for you. Trust me. But yeah, I would just ask them that question and see if it aligns with what you want out of the lesson. I guess ask them, if they went to school for music or how many years they've been teaching or whether they can give you a recommendation or a testimonial or something like that. Any of the real standard stuff. Okay, Firefly says just a random question that popped to my head. Why do octaves start with C and not A, the first letter of the alphabet? And you don't have to answer that though. Wait a second. Why do the octaves start with C and not A? I don't know. Okay, probably because the key of C has no accidentals. Yeah, that's probably a good point. If I have 100 subs, you'll be able to get full time. Probably not, because I'm at 50 now, and even if it was double, I still don't think I'd be able to make a full time income on the YouTube alone. But like I said, everything works together to make it work. Okay, let's see. Roberta says, I think it's important to understand percussion. I agree. I'm drawn to learn Latin rhythms. So those are really fun. You're on the right track, Tim. You're doing great, says Abigail, and therefore you'll see very good results. Well, thank you very much. Things are going better and better all the time with the channel and everything. Well, it's impressive. May your Lord Jesus bless you, that you'll do with those us here who cannot afford a private instructor. Thank you very much, Odette. Thank you for that nice comment. Okay, since it's getting to the hour, I want to tell everybody about something over on my website. So let us get over there. And then let me see. Is it going to pop up? Hello, students. So if you like what you see over here on the YouTube channel with the lessons I've been putting out, and you're looking to learn more, you're looking to learn more of that beginner stuff, more for intermediates, more for advanced, that go beyond what the YouTube teaches, well, then you want to head over to my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. I meant to show you this view. So pianolessonsontheweb.com. I have over 22 courses that I made over there, all designed to help you learn a lot more about piano music. Same types of instructional videos you come to expect, along with printable sheet music examples, real songs to play, activities, assignments, and a lot of other things to enhance your learning much beyond YouTube. But there's something else I want to tell you about. If you go to the Buy Courses page, there's course packs over there where you can get a collection of courses for together for a smaller price and a good deal. So if you click on View Pack, I want to tell you about the Beginners Pack. So if you're just starting out learning piano, and maybe you've seen some of my YouTube videos, but you really want a real firm grasp on the very key concepts you need to really begin learning those piano songs on your own, to really start making that progress, well, you want to check out the Beginners Pack, because it includes 4 courses that I made: Introduction to Piano Music, Learn to Read Music, Playing the Piano Level 1, and Music Theory at Level 1. This will give you a very all-around music education for the beginner. As you can see, you can click on each course and then take a look at the description. You can see also a sample video from the course as well to learn about that there. There's one other thing I want to tell you, and it's a little thank you gift for coming out to the lesson today. And that's if you use the code YouTube during checkout. So you add this to your cart, you go to checkout, little, box that pops up. Enter YouTube in there, click apply, and it's going to put an additional 15% off any order of courses. So that includes if you get these courses individually, if you get them in the course pack here, you get one of the other course packs, you get all the courses. It applies to every single one of those. So you definitely want to check out, what this course pack's about and the others. And just remember that, code YouTube will get you that additional 15% off. So I just wanted to let you know about that, because if you like what you see over here on the YouTube channel and you really want to take things to the next level, you'll want to go over to pianolessonsontheweb.com. Okay, everybody. I think we're going to wrap it up here. We're at the hour. It was a wonderful discussion tonight. I think we learned a lot. If you want to, one thing I want to tell you about real quick, actually, let me get you a link to my website. Oops. Okay. One thing I want to tell everybody about really quick is that if you go to the next topics that we're talking about, I'm going to update the community page on the website, but if you want to see what they are right now before I get a chance to do that, just head over to the YouTube channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start posting the next upcoming live streams a little bit early, like a few weeks early. So actually, if you go scroll down here, it says upcoming live streams right here on the YouTube channel. Just use that to go through the next upcoming streams to see what we're talking about. As you can see on Friday, I'm going to give you a all-around, learn how all the basic chords on piano, the fastest method. I'm going to get you learning these within 10 to 20 minutes. And then we have another answer session next Sunday, and then compound time signatures. And then actually I'll be posting the next topics after that, so make sure to check that out if you want to see what we're talking about next. Okay, so I'm gonna have to cut off the questions here. Luchingador, what does half ellipses that are carried out from one note to the other mean? I'm not sure. That might be a double dot. I'm not sure though. Just remind me in another session, and then I'll be more than happy to answer. Same thing with everybody. So if I didn't get to your question today and we're running out of time, do not worry. Just let me know next time, and then we can get to it together. Or let me know in the comments of this video. Okay, I can't read notes, but I used to be able to, says Luke. Welcome, Luke. Julio says, after playing the dominant seventh chord, do you immediately go to the tonic chord? Usually, yes. If so, can you give us different examples on how to do it properly? Yeah, I'd have to, again, just remind me in one of the future live streams. Or, like I said, once the recording of this is posted, let me know in the comments to that video, and then I can let you know there. Asparagus Water says here. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, Asparagus has to go. Sorry, Asparagus. Thanks for coming out, though. Hopefully you have a great week. Nero says, what one thing improved your piano ability more than anything? I love that question because the answer is, let's get everybody in the chat here. The answer is sight reading is this skill. Neo says, sounds good. SS says, Tim, I don't know if the beginner pack suits me. If it does not, can I exchange it for a more advanced pack? Well, the answer to that is yes. Let me explain, though, because the prices aren't the same. Because the beginner's pack only includes 4 courses, right? So if you click on there, there's the 4 I listed. If you click on the intermediate, now that's for $999.99. So it's quite a bit more. But as you can see, this one includes 9 courses instead of just 4. So you get a lot more courses out of it. So the cost doesn't add up as much. But if you get the beginner's pack and you say, you know what, that this really isn't suitable for me, maybe I want the intermediate pack instead, then just email me and I can set you up with a coupon code to where basically I take off the amount you bought the beginner's pack for from the intermediate. So yeah, I'll give you like credit for that, and then you can exchange it for the intermediate. So that would work for me. Or you can just go ahead and buy the intermediate pack if you decide to do that. Neo says, thanks for the podcast. You're very welcome. Yeah, I think they are ties. I don't know their names. I'll look for them online. Yeah, and if you get me a link or a picture, that would be great. Then I could know exactly. Let's see. Have a blessed night, evening, Tim. Until next time, thank you very much. I learned a lot from listening, says Neo. I will be buying the beginner's course. Well, thank you so much, Neo. I really appreciate that, and it really helps out the channel and helps you out as well to learn more. Leo says, thanks again, Tim. You're very welcome. Okay, Luchindor is talking about a tie, perhaps. Okay, great. All right, everybody. And if you have any other questions about my courses, let me know, Tim at lessonsontheweb.com. But remember to follow the link I gave you, or just type in lessonsontheweb.com. We'll take you to the website as well so you can learn more with my courses. So thanks, everybody, for coming out. I'm going to talk to you again real soon. The recording of this will be posted up in a couple of days. New lessons coming out, of course. And yeah, so thanks, everybody, for coming out. Have a great week. And I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks so much for being a part of our classroom today.